A member of an electoral commission walks past a destroyed building with a mobile ballot box and documents while visiting local residents on the third day of a referendum on the joining of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic, DPR, to Russia, in Mariupol, Ukraine September 25, 2022, Reuters. Russia has sought to defend its 7-month-old war, with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov telling the United Nations that regions of Ukraine where widely criticized referendums are being held would get Russia's full protection if annexed by Moscow. The votes in 4 eastern Ukrainian regions, aimed at annexing territory Russia has taken by force since its invasion in February, were staged for a third day on Sunday. The Russian parliament could move to formalize the annexation within days. By incorporating the 4 areas of Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson and Zaporizhia into Russia, Moscow could portray attacks to retake them as an attack on Russia itself, a warning to Kyiv and its Western allies. The Russian annexations raise the risk of a direct military confrontation between Russia and the NATO military alliance as Western arms are being used by Ukrainian troops. British Prime Minister Liz Truss said Britain and its allies should not heed threats from Russian President Vladimir Putin, who had made what she called a strategic mistake. "I think he didn't anticipate the strength of reaction from the free world," she told CNN. "We should not be listening to his saber-rattling and his bogus threats. Instead, what we need to do is continue to put sanctions on Russia and continue to support the Ukrainians," Truss said in the interview broadcast on Sunday. Ukraine and its allies have dismissed the referendums as a sham designed to justify an escalation of the war and a mobilization drive by Moscow after recent battlefield losses. Putin on Wednesday ordered Russia's first military mobilization since World War II. The move triggered protests across Russia and sent many men of military age fleeing. 2 of Russia's most senior lawmakers on Sunday addressed a string of complaints about the mobilization, ordering regional officials to get a handle on the situation and swiftly solve the excesses that have stoked public anger. Addressing the UN General Assembly and the world's media in New York on Saturday, Lavrov sought to justify Russia's invasion of its neighbor, repeating Moscow's false claims that the elected government in Kyiv was illegitimately installed and filled with neo-Nazis. He cast opposition to what Russia calls a special operation as limited to the United States and countries under its sway. Nearly 3/4 of states in the assembly voted to reprimand Russia and demand it withdraw its troops. Lavrov told a news conference after his speech that the regions where votes are underway would be under Moscow's full protection if they are annexed by Russia. Asked if Russia would have grounds for using nuclear weapons to defend the annexed regions, Lavrov said Russian territory, including territory further enshrined in Russia's constitution in the future, is under the full protection of the state. Ukraine's foreign minister, Dmytro Kuleba, said Russia's mentions of the possible use of nuclear weapons were absolutely unacceptable and Kyiv would not give in to them. Looming annexation. The Duma, Russia's lower house of parliament, may debate bills incorporating the Russian-occupied parts of Ukraine into Russia on Thursday, the state-run TASS news agency said on Saturday, citing an unnamed source. The Interfax agency quoted a source saying the upper house could consider the bill the same day, and RIA Novosti, also citing an unnamed source, said Putin could be preparing to make a formal address to an extraordinary joint session of both houses on Friday. Russia says the referendums, hastily organized after Ukraine recaptured swathes of the northeast in a counteroffensive this month, enable people in those regions to express their view. The territory controlled by Russian or Russian-backed forces in the 4 regions represents about 15% of Ukrainian territory. Adding Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014, Russia would have gained an area about the size of the U.S. state of Pennsylvania. However, Russia does not fully control any of the 4 regions, with only around 60% of Donetsk region controlled by Russian or Russian-backed forces. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Sunday his country would regain all the territory Russia had taken. "We will definitely liberate our entire country from Kherson to the Luhansk region, from Crimea to the Donetsk region," he said on the Telegram messaging app. Ukraine and Russia traded accusations on Sunday of attacks on civilians, with Ukraine's military saying that Russian forces had launched dozens of missile attacks and airstrikes on military and civilian targets in the past 24 hours. Russia used drones to attack the center of the southern city of Odessa, Ukraine's military said. No casualties were reported. Russia denies deliberately attacking civilians. Its RIA state news agency reported that Ukrainian forces bombed a hotel in the city of Kherson, killing 2 people. Russian forces have occupied the southern city since the early days of the invasion on February 24. There was no immediate response from Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry also said Ukrainian forces had continued attacks around the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant in the south of the country, including launching 8 kamikaze drones at the facility, which it controls. Reuters was unable to verify battlefield reports. Putin's mobilization drive has stirred unrest in Russia. More than 2,000 people have been detained across the country for protesting against the draft, according to independent monitoring group OVD Info.